Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, we are visiting with Jessica Pancho from the Evangelization and Mission Team for the Diocese of Des Moines. She focuses on youth ministry, and we're talking about this upcoming Praise in the Park that's July 19th.
Something new. It's going to be tremendous.
So I'm very excited about it.
I'm going to be stepping in faith and here to do with this, but to be with all our young people and those we invite. So we look forward to talking to Jessica.
I'm young at heart.
Jessica, you are,
so
Jean.
That's why I want to go.
You have that childlike insouciance.
Or I'm a big baby head sometimes.
So here we are already beginning to crest the middle of the month of July. Looking forward, we had to talk about biking for babies in previous show, but they're rolling through. The National Riot is coming through St. Francis of Assisi on their way down from Ames and making their way the next day to Oskaloosa. So Wednesday, July 16th, everybody is invited. Dr. Steve Craig and the KCs inviting to hear the message. I'll be celebrating Mass at 5 p.m. at St. Francis, and then there's a meal open to everyone, free will offering, where some of the missionaries will give a little witness talk. It won't be a lengthy program, just to kind of chill, hang out with each other, and enjoy a midsummer's peace. So it was just a great chance to be together. So wonderful. And then, of course, the next night, those of us going on the France pilgrimage in September with Father Trevor Shequin of St. Peter and Paul Atlantic and the Cass County parishes. We're going to kind of do a preview of that. And so France is kind of on our mind of some of us, as well as the Tour de France roll again. Starting up in Dunkirk and making its way around as it does with the kind of Giro around France. And so wonderful things. And, of course, those Ragbriars are getting their final miles of preparation in these days and all that they're doing as they'll go through the northern tier of counties in the state of Iowa. Hopefully they'll be well hydrated and in shape. Supposedly a little flatter route, but look out those last couple of days.
And are you doing any of the Ragbriars?
Not this year, no. I'm still trying to get my miles in as well. But the Biking for Babies local ride was a great day, but the temperatures hit 90.
46 miles, something like that?
It was. Some of us maybe used a little prudence and cut it short because there was a homily to finish, for St. Teresa's. But there you go. All the things that were there. So, and I've reflected on this before. I just would like to share maybe for some who didn't encounter it. But in the French spirit, Madeleine Delbrel, 20th century social worker, first atheist, then Catholic and mystic. Her bicycle spirituality found in the book, The Dazzling Light of God. And it's just something really fresh. And I just want to share that with our listeners. As she's speaking to Jesus, but speaking to us as well. Go, you tell us at every turn in the gospel. To be in your direction, we have to go, even when our laziness begs us to stay. You've chosen us to be in a strange balance, a balance that can establish and sustain itself only in motion, only with momentum, rather like a bicycle that cannot stay upright without moving, bicycle that stays leaning against a wall as long as we have not mounted it to make it speed along the road. The condition given to us is an insecurity, vertiginous and universal. As soon as we begin to look at it, our life tilts and gives way. We can only remain standing to walk, to race, in momentum of charity. All the saints who were given to us as models, or many of them, were under the insurance policy, a kind of spiritual security that protected them against danger, sickness, that even took charge of their spiritual births. They had official prayer times, methods of doing penance, a whole code of advice and defense. But for us, it is in a somewhat crazy liberalism that the adventure of your grace plays out. We have to maybe unpack that word. You refuse to provide us with a roadmap. Our journey is made at night. Every act to do in turn lights up like signal relays. Only the same thing guaranteed is regular exhaustion from the same work to be done every day, from the same housework to resume, from the same faults to correct, the same mistakes not to make. But outside this guarantee, all the rest is left to your fancy, which is at ease with us. Kind of makes you want to get on your bike, doesn't it, Jean?
I think maybe we could go. Oh, no.
Or your four-wheeler, or wherever, John, your chauffeur and Uber escort will take you. Yeah. But so hopefully we can be children, and for some of us, being on a bike helps us to reclaim that spirit. But whatever does that and refreshes your soul that summer, that's our prayer for you.
Hey, we're going to take that quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be visiting with Jessica Pancho from the Evangelization and Mission Team for the Diocese of Des Moines. She's in charge of youth ministry, and there is an upcoming Praise in the Park, July 19th. You are not going to want to miss. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. And on today's show, we're visiting with Jessica Pancho from the Evangelization and Mission Team for the Diocese of Des Moines, responsible for youth ministry and the upcoming Praise in the Park, July 19th.
Jessica, great to have you on the show. Good to be here.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.
And, something's unfolding not only in terms of the diocese, but for you and Ben, again, life is happening.
Yeah.
Yes, we're expecting, baby will be here in a matter of, I would like to say 6 weeks soon. So getting there. We're very happy. Yes. Thank you, Bishop.
So after Praise in the Park.
God willing, yes. Like that's, the event that I have in my mind, that Saturday, I already have my neck fan, very pregnant lady going around, the park there and just making sure, everyone has what they need and staying hydrated because, baby, it's funny because I think about it now and baby will probably be moving and enjoying the music, in my belly, but...
Yeah.
It's
well, in the July heat, I think you're entitled to have a kind of sadist where people carry you around, and you can be like the queen, just.
Oh, hey, I will definitely have some volunteers do that.
Is somebody holding a little, fern over you or something?
Parasol. Yeah.
Wonderful. No, because you read it, you did the reflection at the Cathedral Holy Hour, Monday Holy Hour, a couple Mondays ago, and yes, it's like you're a tabernacle in your own right, carrying life within you.
It is. And, this baby, I will say, is a lot more wiggly than our first Miriam Rose. And, especially with music. So Praise in the Park, all day music, type of thing. So I'm ready for a lot of movement in my belly that day.
Okay. Things that we can only imagine.
So such a fun time.
Just before we get into the event, just again, how your place and role within the diocese has evolved in recent years, and what does that do for you in terms of your own sense of discipleship and your passion for Jesus?
Yeah, no, I mean, being able to now expand fully into youth ministry as a whole, and looking at still all the different communities in our diocese, rural and, urban, and just the different things that each youth group and community can learn from each other, regardless of where they are geographically, has been amazing to see. And just how, there's been a greater connection between youth ministers from out west to now in the metro area. And, you forget how important fraternity is among colleagues that are working within one ministry, right? So that I've been focusing a lot more on, just kind of building that up among youth ministers and across our diocese, and that's been amazing to see unfold. Just a little spark of, oh yeah, you tried that. Let me try that next time. Or wow, how did that go? And it could be the most simple, Wednesday night activity or reflection, and just seeing everyone kind of come together and again get behind the same mission of our youth and being there and serving them is just amazing to see. So I'm glad that I get to be a part of that, just in a different perspective now, from also learning from them. I always tell them whenever I get in front of our youth ministers, I'm here learning alongside you, right? It's not me just as a support from the diocese, but it's like we're also growing. We're making this ministry grow together. So
you're not the guru or the gurus, you're a collaborator with all those. So, and you speak about being out west, obviously a Des Moines-centric perspective, but you and Ben have spent more than a bit of time in Omaha, Council Bluffs area. So Spirit Catholic Radio listeners as well. Go on.
Yeah. Well, it's just so close to Omaha, Council Bluffs area, close to Omaha that, it's one of those where you hear of people, saying, well, it's just probably easier for them to go to, Omaha things that have to do with youth ministry. But, out west, our youth ministry folks, they just received, a grant to have a space for their youth out there, that they're kind of repurposing and rebuilding. And, that makes a difference whenever the youth feel that they have a space where they can, feel safe, they belong, and that it's just meant for them, it makes a difference. So I think, maybe our, folks out west, being close to Omaha sometimes, they might get different ideas, from that side of, the state line or something, but, they're bringing it over, and at the end, it's all for, the glory of God and all for the youth. So regardless where it comes from, it's expanding and it's growing. So that was really good to know about, and it'll be exciting to see what our folks out west do with that youth kind of center or space that they have going on for them.
Wonderful. So, and let's debunk a myth or two here. That you did confide to me offline what your age is, Jessica. Maybe the same age as Jesus was when certain things happened for him.
It's like Jesus year. We call it the Jesus year. Everybody who is turned 33, you call it your Jesus year. So I'm in my Jesus year.
And I already respected and reverenced you and all more. But there's kind of a stereotype maybe that youth ministers, it's a certain age in their 20s maybe, and then they burn themselves out and move on to something else. Is that your experience, or does the truth belie that?
No, it does go by I think what we've always said, when it comes to youth and young adults, it goes by phases of life, right? Or like stages of life. You definitely start, looking at your ministry, whether you're still in youth ministry or not, based on where your stage of life is. So, the age, can make a difference here and there, but I definitely go more with, the phase of life that you're in, So for me, as a single young adult, I looked at youth ministry in a different way, or, maybe was able to kind of, take a risk more, as far as, trying something new, because maybe I had more of my attention span or, mind in discerning some things that, I didn't have to take into consideration now that I'm a mom and a wife, So I definitely think it goes more by phase of life, stage rather than like age. So my growth as a wife and as a mom now, after being married for 3 years, it looks different looking at my ministry and youth ministry versus then when I was a young adult. That's more because of not having, that outlook on life as a mom and as a wife that I do now. So,
well, you're certainly now, kind of the point woman in many ways for one of our diocesan priorities, leading youth into discipleship, encounters with Christ, and all that's there. Lots of good things are happening. But let's talk about Praise in the Park. And what am I getting into, Jessica?
What did you say yes to, Bishop?
Well, the name in itself, I have to give Alexis, now, Nicholson, but now Reese, credit for that alliteration, right? But, the idea behind it came with that there's so many things that our town and, state now offers as far as, festivals and, just things where communities come together. And, it was a thought that it's like, okay, well, our church, we do have parish festivals, but, let's think outside the box, evangelization and reaching the masses really through something that anybody likes to attend. In this case, music, food trucks, time for,
Did someone say food trucks? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah, a day to just enjoy the day, literally, in company with those that you normally would, at something else. I mean, with 4th of July weekend, there's so many festivals going on, and I know I'm already, thinking about who I'm going to meet up with and wherever. And, why wouldn't the church, have a place for that as well, right? And, you talked about our mission with youth in particular, encounters with Jesus, and discipleship. And we know that starts at the heart of, the Eucharist. And a big focus for, Praise in the Park also was, make sure that we keep that, big Catholic element, which is our Eucharist. So we'll have adoration leading into Mass, later in the evening. But, praise and worship is a big pull for our young, people and our youth, nowadays. There's something about music that just, elevates praising Jesus, and, I think St. Augustine said it, I think it was St. Augustine. When you sing, you're praying twice, right? you're praising and you're praying and you're glorifying. So
the Augustinian Pope Leo will be very happy with that reference there. So
yeah, exactly. So, bringing this band out, who was present at the National Eucharistic Congress last year, it seemed to fit, and they have a great platform of not just the band, but also the speakers that are coming in and giving the talks for that day. So it's just one of those where it's like we have to make ourselves present as a church in places that maybe people wouldn't normally think the church is present. In this case, a park,
So this group that's coming, A Ray of Hope, that you've been able to engage, tell me about that. Did I hear them at the Eucharistic Congress, or were they a special youth venue? Or
No, they were.
And where can I learn the words of their songs so that I can sing them?
That's right.
Yeah. No, they were part of the lineup for the whole Eucharistic Congress. So they were in the full lineup, and they were one of the bigger names on there. They are based out in New York, New Jersey area. So literally, A Ray of Hope, ARRAY of Hope. Follow them on Instagram or Facebook. They have a whole bunch of YouTube videos. There's the band component of A Ray of Hope, but then there's also the platform that they have where they put out different podcasts and content for families and youth and young adults. And, two of their speakers, in this case, Josh and Alana, are coming out to give those talks for Praise in the Park, but they're part of the Array of Hope, umbrella. And they're Catholic. That's the thing, we hear a lot about, praise and worship bands and singers and artists that, don't hold that Catholic name nowadays, but this band is 100% Catholic. I mean, I've seen on their platform, they've had, interviews with different bishops, from our church and different other Catholic, speakers and authors. So definitely it makes a difference when you check them out too, and all that they've had to offer. I just can't believe I hadn't actually even heard of them, to be honest, before, doing research on, who to bring out for Praise in the Park. But they're
perfect. How perfect for the Jubilee year, that we can do.
Exactly.
On Pilgrims of Hope. And we have an Array of Hope coming forward.
Arrayofhope.org.
There we go.
Yes,
and, I probably should do my homework, make sure, are they from New York or are they from New Jersey? Because I can't tell my lame joke, what New Yorkers say. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, it's New Jersey. So, an auxiliary bishop from Brooklyn told me that. Bump, bump. Okay. No, I'm sorry. That's why I don't tell jokes during holiday. I only make quips. I don't tell jokes.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, though, Bishop, because it is, the Holy Spirit was moving, when we did come up with not just the idea for the festival itself, but it's, we are in this Jubilee year of hope. And, hope is something that our youth currently seem very hard to find, or, don't always know where to look for it, or, that's what the talks are based on, that these speakers are coming in and giving, specifically rooting ourselves in the Eucharist, and that's where our hope is. And, as far as, identity too, that regardless of what we go through, nowadays you talk about the youth having an identity crisis, and it's like half the time it's because, there's no hope that there is something beyond, or that there's a purpose. So it was definitely also, partially to get behind, like you said, the Pilgrims of Hope theme of this Jubilee year of hope, and just being able to renew that hope and make sure that we kind of are rooted in that, and make sure that we're rooted in the Eucharist.
Hey, before we get the break in just over a minute, let's let our listeners know the practical details and what where they can do this, and then we'll reiterate after the break, okay? Because I need to hear things twice. So where, when?
Definitely. July 19th starts at noon.
Saturday,
July 19th at the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater out in West Des Moines. Again, food trucks, speakers, and then we have Mass at 6 with you, Bishop, but adoration leading into Mass. But, just go ahead and our website also.
Late morning, early afternoon, when's it start?
Noon to 6. So that's when, noon, food trucks will be out, our speakers will be lining up, and we have music all throughout the day. So from noon to 6 is we'll be out there. So,
and is there a cost, Jessica?
This is completely free. Completely free.
People need to know that one.
Oh, no, there's got to be a catch here. Come on, what is it? Jessica, come on.
Nothing. I mean, food trucks, hey, you have to eat. Everyone has to share a meal. So, but other than that, we really wanted to put something out there, and it is focused on youth and young adults, but it's family friendly in the sense that,
so let's pause there and we can come back.
Sounds good.
All right.
We'll take that break, and when we return, Jessica Pancho will continue with the conversation about Praise in the Park, July 19th. Put it on your calendar. To find out all the details, go to the diocese website, dmdiocese.org/events, and then you scroll down to July 19th, and you'll find out all the details. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
We had a little interlude with Jean singing a little praise here. You're getting your praise on, Jean. Our God is an awesome God,
He reigns from heaven above.
All right. Really, we do need to get our praise on. Mm-hmm. And there's something, to let that loose, We don't have to be charismatic in the classical sense. We all have that spirit. And if we're not praising God, we're going to praise something else, our favorite artist or athlete or whatever, So, let's go to the source here on this. And let's go to Praise in the Park on July 19th. Yeah.
And is it for the young at heart as well as the young families, Jessica? I want to know.
It is,
Inquiring minds want to know.
We wanted something where, we've done events in the past for our youth. Parents will also say, hey, this looks great, this, can my middle schooler, attend? Or, hey, can I bring, my brother or this or that, whatever, and it's like, well, yeah, we also do want to make it something where it's family friendly, right? And the topics of our faith, you can change them up regardless of what the age is, right? Because at all ages, we're able to kind of just talk about Jesus and our faith, and especially hope, So it's definitely, there's enough to do for everyone, right? And music as a whole is for everyone, right, regardless of the age. So that's a big focus on that too. That's why this band of Array of Hope, their music and just music in general, brings people together regardless of what age. So that's why we figured, yes, bring even the little ones, who will just enjoy being outside, and there's a band up there. That's cool. So it's like for them, it's like maybe like their first concert or something. It's a day where they're there with their parents, they're there with other friends, and other kids and families and things like that.
So I'm hearing this is not just like the church sometimes envisions World Youth Day, the biannual, triennial event, and some site in the various metropolitan cities in the world. 18 to 35 years old. This is a broader net. And is there going to be a teenager restricted zone where they don't have to deal with mom and dad and all the others?
No, that's the thing. I think we are seeing our church move into what we've kind of talked about, maybe in the past, a kind of intergenerational family ministry as well, So we're always keeping that in mind too, where, we want our youth and, even our kids now growing up into that stage, in that preteen stage, to look around and see other kids, young adults, are enjoying themselves in the same place that they are too, So I would keep that intergenerational faith, ministry that we've kind of touched upon, in the past as a diocese, and kind of see our church kind of shifting towards. We're trying to break down those little barriers at times that have maybe prevented us from actually, learning from each other and growing with each other in our faith. That's kind of the idea behind that. So it's going to be fully open, to where parents enjoy a day with their kids as well, the kids with their siblings, or then again, just go off with another group of friends that they see, right?
So if it's a 95-degree day, is there going to be a water slide or... do we have does the presider at Mass bring a super soaker for the sprinkling ride, or what are we doing here? I haven't seen a Mass plan yet.
Father Trevor might have an issue with that.
I was going to say, let's just check with Father Trevor there. We know it's going to be a toasty
that killjoy. One. Why do we talk to him?
Yeah, it's going to be a toasty one, but there's the grounds at the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater are beautiful. I literally did a walkthrough the other day, and the people at the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater said, people can fish if they like that day. There's a huge
Okay,
pond.
Jessica, you could tell us more, but we're going to unfortunately have to wind it down. So there's some mystery for people who will come, but of course it'll be our youth and our families. You who are bearing life, who will be the primary decorations of the day. So thank you for your ministry and all you've done to set the table for this event.
Thank you.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and to all of our listeners throughout Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening to the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.